Welcome to Generative AI Futures. Today we're doing a deep dive into the AI for Science Week 2026.
Yeah, this one's happening in Mainz, Germany, from October 5th to the 9th.
And it's not just another conference. The claim our sources are making is that this event marks the most significant epistemological shift in science, well, since the 17th century.
It's a monumental claim, but I think it really captures the mood. We are moving from science being, a human-led, hypothesis-driven thing.
I have an idea, let me test it.
Exactly, to something that's AI-augmented and data-driven, where the machine is just exploring spaces we couldn't even imagine.
Okay, so what does this huge week actually look like? How is it structured?
It's sort of an umbrella model. The core, the real theoretical heart, is the 29th International Conference on Discovery Science, DS 2026.
And that's all about the how, the actual algorithms.
Precisely. And then wrapped around that is AI for Sci 2026, which is the application layer.
So where all this theory gets deployed in fields like life sciences, physics, material science.
Right. And the big theme, especially for the papers being published, is clear. Interpretability over just raw prediction.
Because if the AI is just a black box, you haven't really discovered anything, have you?
You haven't. And that brings us to some key topics like symbolic regression and equation discovery.
Which sounds incredibly complex.
The idea is simple, though. It's about literally pulling a human-readable physical law, say, a differential equation, straight out of the data.
Just you're forcing the AI to show its work. That's fascinating. I'm also seeing a lot about scientific foundation models. How are these different from the LLMs we all use?
They're trained on completely different stuff, not just text, but multimodal scientific data. Think molecular graphs, sensor arrays, astronomical data.
Aiming for a general-purpose model for science.
Yeah, and a big part of that is causal discovery.
And that seems to be the really hard part. Is AI truly ready to separate causation from correlation in, say, climate science, where everything is tangled together?
That is the aspirational challenge.
Yeah.
The methods being submitted are really pushing the boundaries there, trying to move beyond simple relationships.
All right, let's pivot to the applied side, AI for Sci. This is where the location Mainz really comes into play.
Oh, absolutely. The city has this science mile with Johannes Gutenberg University, Max Planck Institutes, and, the big one, BioNTech.
Oh, right. So there's a huge focus on actually getting this stuff into industry.
The life sciences crack is going to be the powerhouse.
Yeah.
BioNTech is leveraging its Kyber supercomputer for some really cutting-edge generative biology.
And they're moving past the older diffusion models, I see.
Yeah, they're showcasing things like Bayesian flow networks, BFNs.
Okay, so why should a researcher care? What's the practical benefit of a BFN over a diffusion model?
Speed and control. Diffusion models are slow. They have to refine from noise. A BFN is non-iterative, so it can generate a high-quality protein sequence almost instantly.
That drastically speeds up the design cycle.
It's a massive competitive edge.
And on the physics side, the problem is also speed, but in a different way. At JGU's MESA accelerator, they generate too much data to even store.
Exactly. So they need what's called trigger-level AI. They're putting neural networks directly onto FPGAs, specialized hardware, to filter noise from signal in microseconds.
Before the data is even saved.
Right. And we're also seeing a lot of interest in simulation-based inference, or SBI.
That's for when the math is just too hard to calculate forward, like with dark matter parameters.
That's the one. You work backward from the simulation to find the parameters that must have created it.
Okay, and quickly, material science. The Max Planck Institute for Polymer Research has a focus on soft matter.
Yes, and the holy grail there is something called inverse design.
Don't tell me it's what it sounds like.
It is. You flip the whole workflow. You don't make a polymer and test it. You tell the AI the properties you want, high strength, biodegradable, and it spits out the chemical structure you need.
That is incredible. So last thing, what about the regulatory environment? The EU AI Act will be fully enforceable by October 2026.
And they have sessions dedicated to it. Researchers are basically focused on two things: understanding the scientific research exemption in the Act.
And using the so-called regulatory sandboxes.
Exactly. Safe places to test high-risk AI without getting immediately shut down.
But none of this works without the actual hardware. They're running an AI factory symposium to talk about compute access, which is the elephant in the room.
It really is. The challenge is making sure Europe's giant supercomputers aren't just for big institutions, but that startups and university researchers can get time on them too.
So what we have is this rare convergence. The theoretical rigor of DS 2026, the industrial power of BioNTech, all in one place.
And it's all happening in Mainz. the Homo Gutenberg and the printing press, the first information revolution.
It's a powerful parallel. So as we enter this era of what you might call automated enlightenment driven by AI, it leaves you with a final thought. What does this shift really mean for the fundamental definition of human discovery itself?